I was coming down because I was going to the Duke Pitt game.
It's at Duke.
It's at Duke.
Oh, Duke.
Yeah, it's at Duke. Because King was in North Carolina.
So that's cause I picked you up and I was like, I know Jeff is in
he's in Delaware.
I didn't know King was in North Carolina now, but cause his wife, we went to the same high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like she's older than me, but it was just like small world when they got married, and I found out who she was married. Cause I played football with King's little brother. So, but he was always older. So like it's weird, like everything just came like Jeff too.
That's what I said. when they reached out, and then it's like Jeff's cousins with it's crazy because I think I was talking to my mother, and I think like Mark and
that's their family. Yeah, that's how we met. Cause Allentown Boys and Girls Club. That's how I met Mark, Mike, and Derek, and all that. And Jeff played on that team with his brothers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was just like, when they reached out and all this, I was like, they was asking me about clothes. So they turned it into something totally
different. It's always different, yeah. I was like, you must not know what else was like.
And I wasn't doing it on purpose. It was like, this is what, and they was like, oh, you do. It's like, yeah, well.
Oh, so that's, dang, I'm glad. I wish we could have had that, because I'm like, well, how did y'all meet? That would have been a perfect question.
That was going to be a question. Dang, Damani. We'll just wait till all three of y'all in here.
Oh, yeah, to get the trifecta?
Yeah. It's cool.
I thought it was always through sports. I was like, it had to be through sports.
Y'all
know each other. Like,
we know.
You know what, Damani, I need you to focus.
Oh, yeah, I'm in host mode.
You was locked in already. I'm like, this is small talk. This is small talk time.
Okay. All right. So just let me know what I need to do.
Oh, you good.
Just make sure your phone is on just vibrate or do not disturb, whatever.
Yeah. Can you show me like how much time we got, or you just gonna tell me? Cause I can't see it this time.
30-minute mark. I'll just tell you.
Okay. I think we can get into some good stuff. So I think an hour is good.
Yeah, what's your time?
I'm good. I bought my wife some crabs, so she should be.
That's how I was like,
I have seafood at the house waiting for me.
And that's all her. We always come up here and I never get my. I'm like, come on, dog. Like, it's not the end. Like,
it's Maryland though, man.
It is, but she don't understand the fact that it's like, when you think about crabs, Maryland, right? But that's more of like a Baltimore thing, right? So it's kind of like you coming down here, people get like a little discouraged because they look around, it's carry out. And I tell her, I was like, it's just a little different. Like, you go to the wharf, and we went. I think we went to some spot in District Heights that my aunt told me about, so it wasn't that bad.
Crafty crab.
Yeah, something like that. Across from like the Aldi's, I don't know.
I see what you're saying. Like you won, I'm like, I want to take you to the spot that got the best joints or some. Like,
because why are we going to go? Because it's like that's fine.
That's true.
And then up in Jersey, it's crab legs.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't eat it. Like it's like, oh, we having crabs this weekend. Like, no, we're not.
Crab legs.
Yeah, exactly. Just take it to lock it in. So I'll be done.
You good on the Wi-Fi, Shannon?
I am good on the Wi-Fi right now. It says I'm online, so that's all that matters. And I'm gonna make sure that's cut out of the video.
So
the sun ain't going.
Michelle to, of course, not question that then.
Well, no, I think you should still hop in, like you were doing just now. I just wanted to do the intro first before you start asking me real questions. Because football, right?
Nah, I don't know football like that.
But yes, you do.
No, I didn't play football.
I'm talking about
him.
But I am getting to know you, but we're going to touch a little bit on football.
Hello?
How do I sound? Can you hear me?
I was about to say, yeah, because I ain't trying to get on the phone. They already told me to cut my joint off.
Is that too dark? No, that's good.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah, you good.
Okay, perfect. Now, as long as the lighting's good on him. No, that's blocking him. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to.
In the background, that's a nice backdrop though. I was thinking that too when I came over. I was like,
just text me. Can you text it to me?
Right. That works. That works. Yeah. So I mean, I guess I don't gotta do a formal intro. Sometimes you just start a song.
Say something.
Can you hear me?
Screw up the rules.
Alright, yeah, it's kind of. I try to.
Yeah, also so the camera can see your shirt.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, then. Welcome back to another episode of Rules to the Game. I'm Shannon Nichele, your beloved host. I'm back with my guy Damani, producer, aka no Instagram Damani.
What's happening?
And today we're talking to PJ from Revel Sports Agency. What's the full name?
Yeah, you said it, Rebel Sports and Entertainment, and basically short R3V.
R3V. I like it. A new sports agency out here. Where you guys based at?
So the company's based in actually Oxon Hill. So our president, Jeffrey Revelle, he and our vice president, Rakeem Vick, are all from the DMV Allentown area. And myself, I'm the VP of basically business operations. And we all came together with this amazing idea, and fast forward, we're here. So excited to talk to you both.
All right, well, let's get into it. I'm from Oxon Hill myself, so I like you guys already.
Yeah.
The people are at home, not far.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about your business, but first, tell us a little bit more about you. Who's PJ? Why did you get into sports representation? Let's just start with that.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm PJ Miller. I'm from the Fort Washington area. Grew up playing sports my whole life. Me and Damani, his family, we actually played together, T-ball, everything. So I appreciate him giving me an opportunity to be on your platform. But myself, basically basketball player my whole life. Played high school, travel, any level of basketball you could think of, I've been a part of. And blessed to have that opportunity. I played basically for, like I said, 4 years varsity. That was at Potomac School, which is in McLean, Virginia. We won a state championship, and then after that, I got a scholarship to play at NJIT in Newark, New Jersey, where I currently live. I live in Union, New Jersey now. And there, same kind of story. My senior year, we won a conference championship. So definitely have been blessed to win at a lot of levels in my life. And at this point, it's just really giving back. And I do own a few businesses that helped me make the decision to also be a part of R3V on the executive level.
Okay, entrepreneur.
I would say, at night, I like to look at it like Batman. You kind of during the day, you kind of have your, things you got to do, but then you have your other side where you're getting things done. So, yeah, and
okay, what are these businesses? You gotta let me know.
I have, and like I said, this has been a long. My main kind of skill set, basically out of school, I got my degree in marketing, and I took that and just basically did a lot in the digital media space. So like advertisement, I've basically been in advertisement since I graduated, and that started to spin with the businesses that I opened up and currently run. I have a clothing line. That was my first business. That's been running for about 3.5 years now, and due to kind of high volume and what we were providing, there was a space for me to actually not outsource the work and actually do the printing and a lot of the embroidery. So about 1.5 years, I started my own printing company called Wash and Fold Printing. And that has been a blessing as well, just because I've been able to educate a lot of people that want to start their business when it comes to merchandise, but maybe not know the resources that they need to go into or the avenues to get what they want, because it is costly, but it doesn't have to be. And I think that's where my company comes in, because we work with a lot of small businesses, a lot of startups, and take them to that space of where they can get their garments outsourced.
So Exports just found a new partner. Listen, okay,
Yeah.
noted.
Because you're not just local,
No. So
As far
we
as the printing
with the printing company we service the U.S. Even international if that came about. So
Well, man.
Southern flex.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm very proud about. That's a legacy thing, and I want to definitely first shout out my wife, who actually was going to be here with you guys. Probably in the background talking a little bit. But and my two kids, I have a boy and a girl. My son's 2.5, and my daughter is about 7 months, and they were very pivotal in the moving over to the printing side of things, because that gives my kids the opportunity to have something in the skill set that is different from what they're going to learn in school, right? These are things that they can take and actually do and learn how to, you don't have to always, I say, have a business, but you can learn through other people's businesses or you learning how to run a business, right? Because the thing is, it's not about starting a business, it's about continuing a business.
So you become during that process of sustaining.
The growth, exactly. So like I said, I can get on that, but really having those assets allowed me to have a conversation with Jeff and Rakeem, and it made sense for me to come in as a partner, because I just wasn't coming in with my skill set in sports. I was also bringing my assets with me, and that's something that also you can learn. It's like, it's good to get in the room, but when you have assets with you, it makes it easier to to have those
That's
conversations.
giving you a seat at the table though, because you bring in not just your knowledge in sports marketing or marketing in general, you're actually bringing a whole different source of income and revenue
to the business.
that could translate into the agency. So
Correct.
that's dope. How long have you guys been together? I guess R3V.
I would say R3V is, I would say we're in about a year and a half. I would say I was brought in about the 6-month mark, where Jeff and Rakeem really was, honing in on a business model and everything like that. And now, fast forwarding, we're, strong with a very, I would say, best team that I've been a part of when it comes to top to bottom, who we have in the agency. And obviously, we're probably going to get into that more in detail, but about a year and a half.
Okay, that's what's up. So, a year and a half, great team. Let's talk about your roster real quick, just briefly. You don't gotta give me names if you don't want to, But are you representing just football players, basketball players? What's your scope?
So right now, actually, a lot of our representation is football, because that was the first kind of season that we were able to really go out and not only brand and market ourselves, but really have I would say a system and actual product in place. That was the thing that really that first year, or I would say 8 to 10 months, was us getting the right process to then go after that, to the right athlete. And what really helped us, I would say, is the name, image, and likeness. So that really was an avenue for us to put our stake as an agency, and being a young agency, the NIL gave us an opportunity to really show what we can do as an agency.
So is that your focus right now? Is kind of on the name, image, and likeness, the marketing side, on the agency side? Are you also NFL certified, or kind of getting to the contract agent representation side? But you're saying the way you guys entered was kind of through the NIL market.
Correct. So
Okay.
all of our marketing to date has been around the 2022 NFL draft.
Nice.
So that is where our focus is, and we are laser focused on really providing the best service for the seniors or any athletes that are thinking about going to the 2022 draft.
Okay. I'm gonna back up a little bit. So you mentioned legacy. I thought that was very important. I noticed on you guys' page you have Black Representation Matters.
Yes.
Can you break that down, please? I need to know what that means to you.
To me, and this is what our agency is really the backbone of our agency, is increasing Black representation in sports. Everything that you will see from R3V is around that. In our philanthropy, our giving back, in our signing or different partners, is really around merging and basically this gap that's out there. If we can just limit it day by day, month by month, year by year, we're going to be able to make some type of imprint. And with our agency, that's a huge focus. And our agency, like we were talking about, one great thing is we're not just, it's diverse. We have males, we have females that are in our teams, because we want to make sure that our team and our company really embodies what we're talking about when you go to our page and when you hear the different marketing things, because there is a disconnect with Black representation in sports. I mean, and we feel like at R3V we have a really, really good opportunity to change that.
I like that. So on Clubhouse, right, to give you a little context, so on Clubhouse we had a group called Black Sports Agents and Marketers, right? So oftentimes we had conversations surrounding race in sports. But a lot of times I hear agents who are in the football space and that industry talk about the scarcity of Black representation. So I thought that was really pivotal and imperative, especially when I want to say it was earlier this year, they dropped like a list of the top earning agents in the NFL, and only a handful or less were Black, right?
Exactly.
But then it sparked a conversation on Twitter about white athletes not really signing with Black agents. And that conversation just kind of pivoted into more, I guess, more detailed discussion about Black dollars. Exactly. And when it comes to white athletes or white agents, they're circulating their dollar within their own community. So instead of being, keen on the top quarterbacks or, the higher earning white players, focus on elevating and bringing more awareness to the Black agencies, the more boutique agencies that are willing to put the same effort in and represent those top earning Black athletes. But the understanding from what we're seeing from the outside looking in is that you got to go with those bigger, white owned agencies in order to get to a certain place in your career.
And with that, I would say that it really probably takes. It's just a hard question. I mean, and I don't even want to say question, but it's a hard topic.
Just the overall.
Just
culture.
overall in general, because I feel like when you're talking about kind of the agency side of it, it's player first. And at R3V, and what I just want to go back to when I was saying the NIL shop, and the NIL shop is a business under our agency, where we are basically allowing athletes to use our site to sell different merchandise or anything that they want apparel wise, that basically all of the profits from what they get sales wise, 60% of that goes directly to the athlete. And that's very important because
that's dope. Not a lot of people are doing that.
No. And the thing there is, when you talk about representation, we are talking about the athlete. And that's why I really say, and I speak highly of the team that we have, because majority of our team members are athletes. So we think very athlete first, right? And what words, or all of us in the room here, we're athletes. The things that you look at is seeing is that individual trustworthy. what is that individual gonna bring to the table? Because yes, black representation is important, but the athletes is the most important. You know, what that athlete needs, what that athlete wants. He might be going to that other agency because they are taking care of his needs. And that's the biggest thing that I feel like is important. You have to understand who you're representing, right? Being a black company is just not enough to get clients. And our team, we talk about it every day. It's not about us. Yes, that is something that we highlight. Exactly.
You're a part of their decision, but it's more about what you can offer.
Exactly. Because building black representation, that's what makes us unique. It's still not gonna get the athlete. That's still not gonna do the work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we understand. And to your question, I feel like that's where other agencies maybe are having the difficulty. Is because you can have a relationship with the athlete for years. You know, this athlete I could have grown up with. I could know a family member,
your cousin. You never know.
Things of that nature, right? But when it comes down to business, it's still going to be business at the end of the day. And that is what is most important. Is making sure that whatever agency or whatever business you have, we just talking about business in general, is to keep it and understand that my business needs to be buttoned up, and when that happens, everything else is going to fall into place. And yeah, that's really it in a nutshell there.
I have a question. Since we're still on this topic, do you guys have like a scouting team, or do you guys right now just solely operate on the players seeking you out, or do you guys have?
Yeah, so I'll give a shout out to our director of scouting, Rob Stewart. He's actually a teammate of Rakeem's, and Rob is amazing. I mean, this guy wakes up and all he wants to do is look at film and really understand what we're doing as a business when it comes to scouting and recruiting. I mean, he's very personable, and like I said, it's good to have a team, but you have to have the right people in those seats. And I like I said, I'll go to bat with everyone that is a part of R3V, because when we have our meetings, I mean, we meet every week. And when we go to those meetings, everyone has something to say. Everyone has something actionable that's going to get us to the next week. And that's what, makes it important. I mean, so with our agency, to answer that, we have a scouting team. We finance, taxes, everything really is a a la carte service, what we provide, because we feel as though if the athlete has all of this at his disposal, he will be able to perform the best.
He doesn't have to worry about that
on the field, right? But I will say is that you hear a lot of horror stories from athletes about certain parts of the representation or business that they aren't privy to, right? So that is our job, is the first part of R3V, and is a big part of every business that is the NIL shop and working with name, image, and likeness is education, right? Having the education piece is what also differentiates us, because our athletes are never in they're never blind. They always know. We have it very buttoned up to when we sign an athlete, how we go about the whole transition.
Well, what are some of these horror stories though, or just an example of like maybe a negative experience that athletes have had?
I would say, and we could talk about the when I was discussing the 60%
for the NIL
NIL shop, right? So where that could be misconstrued is if on paper it says that, but in the process of creating these garments and doing things of that nature, that price point might, or that percentage might not really be, what it is. And that was big on when we spoke with our athletes, because like I said, representing professional athletes is night and day of representing a college athlete.
Absolutely.
Because as you guys know, when we were in the collegiate state of our lives, our parents were very integral in all the decisions that we were making. And what we do, or what we have in place with the NIL shop and with R3V, is that we want to talk to the families. We ask the athletes that when we have our call with you, we want your parents, we want anybody that is a decision maker on the call, because we want you to fully understand what you are a part of, number one, and what you're going to, kind of get out of this business relationship. And we see that it has been very, very successful, and the feedback from parents is because they really feel they're like, you guys are one, athlete first, but the education piece. That is what really I feel like the parents and the athletes really appreciate.
And they're college athletes, right? So they're still, some of them may still be in their teens or early 20s, and maybe not privy to how money works, right?
Exactly.
When it comes to the economy, when it comes to just their own, that, some kids don't even get a job until after college, depending on their situation, So with NIL just, coming out and hitting the surface, being allowed, right, in most universities, can you break down, really for our listeners as well, what NIL is, right? We know it means name, image, and likeness, but what's the benefit of NIL to the student athlete? And then how does it play into basically your job as an agency when it comes from being a student athlete and then that transition if they do decide to go pro, or if they are good enough to go pro? So we'll just split it in half. The first half is really just, what is NIL? Like, what does that mean for a student athlete, a college athlete, or a high school athlete?
I was just about to say that, to tag along to that question, like, as far as, because I know you probably know the whole law of it, because it's so fairly new. Can a high school or further back, because those kids out there,
AAU players,
this starts early now, so can they even start, looking into these type of companies like yourself?
Yeah, 100%. So to answer the first, name, image, and likeness, it is really where a college athlete can profit from their name, image, and likeness. So when I was in school, I went to New Jersey Institute of Technology. However, with name, image, and likeness, I'm able to now profit off of my name. I'm able to profit off PJ Miller, right? And what that looks like is that right now, yes, with everything you guys are saying, there are a lot of loose and new ruling, but we really understand that on the NIL level, that really is a state and a university, kind of policy. So first, it's looked at on the state level, and then some universities have their own ruling for the NIL. However, the NIL is not a part of the university, and
so that's just an NCAA construct.
Correct.
Okay.
So if for our athletes, what they have to do is they can talk to any agency that has an NIL offering, and when they make a decision of that company that they want to work with, they have to disclose that to the university. So that is the information that needs to go to the university, because what they do is they say R3V is now representing athlete A, right? And any money that comes in from R3V, you will be putting that into a system. Some universities have on applications, some have more Excel things of that nature. But anyway, the athlete will be.
So the university is tracking their earnings.
Correct.
Okay.
Because they want to ensure that the agency is still doing right by the athlete because the athlete is attending that university.
Interesting. I thought the audit would work the other way around.
In what regard?
In the regards of the agency will make sure, well, I'm pretty sure you do, will make sure that the university is taking care of their athlete. You know what I mean?
So in terms of anything when it comes to legal, any decision making, we are brought in for that athlete, right? So but that only happens if that athlete signs representation with that agency. So we at R3V really have two different parts of that business when it comes to NIL. So we have a licensing agreement, and what our licensing agreement is, that's not binding. So if you're an athlete and you want to sell your merchandise, right? You want to profit off your name, image, and likeness off of our site. That is where that 60% profit comes in.
Low key, that ties into your printing.
Yeah, you know,
It's cohesive.
It's cohesive.
Yeah.
Let's put that, because in my position, I have integrated that asset to help the NIL shop grow.
But economically, that's also a benefit too. Like, because again, like we were talking about, having a seat at the table, it's not that you just are bringing one skill set, right?
Exactly.
And you're also saving money.
Exactly,
You know?
and that's the that's the biggest thing. I'm glad you said that. It's the saving money, because as a small business, a startup, you are really looking at your bottom line all the time, and you're looking at different ways to make sure that you're profitable. You're starting to make ways of being profitable, in that bottom line. So that's the real key of kind of where we're at when it comes to the NIL shop. We have an athlete right now, John Morgan. He is a defensive tackle at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And he is our first athlete that we represent on the NIL, level. So that's where I was saying that agreement of basically representing him.
Like he has to disclose it.
Exactly. Even with an athlete working with us with the license agreement, they still have to disclose that we are doing a license agreement with the NIL shop, and with R3V, because that is a part of that's under the umbrella. But I just wanted to let our viewers know, or any athletes that are out there, is that when you hear words, and I'm talking to a lot of parents, when you hear words agreement, when you hear things, you think of it as contract. Contract is something you think is legal. I don't know. It make you itch a little bit. I don't know if I want to
get. It gets people nervous.
Exactly. So that's why we wanted to have a part of our business that really didn't have much legal, tying in. It's really the athlete can just, I play on Saturday, I have a great game, and what their benefit is we market our athletes, right? You don't have to have an agreement with us to be marketed, because you're still on our platform, you're still on our NIL shop.
So it's mutually beneficial.
It's mutually beneficial for us, and that ties into where we're talking about getting sponsorships or getting those athletes deals. Because if and I'll just say this, because I don't want to go over with that question, but basically how we look at our athlete is more of a marketing journey. A lot of athletes can come to our NIL shop, and yes, some of our athletes, they have blue checks, they have following, they have 5,000, 10,000 followers, they're getting engagement, right? But we also have athletes that don't have much following.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Because what we want to show is we want to show that athlete A that might not have that following is because he just doesn't understand how to market himself.
So, right.
So what we use is our NIL shop to market him with merchandise, and then he's getting cross-functional marketing on Instagram or social media that he can then use those images. He can then increase his engagement because now he's able to put a poll up on Instagram. Hey, do you like my shirt? Do you like this color? Do you like that color? His stats, so we show that athlete because they might be at level 1, but then you have this other athlete that's ready for representation. That's another thing. You can't, we want to represent everyone. We want everybody to benefit because the NIL is a great platform right now for athletes to learn, number one, how to be successful business-wise. And then when you start to look at the professional side of it, you're going to the NFL or any professional league with a brand. That's what's the number one thing. That's the most important.
And you know what? That leads to my next question. So talk about those athletes who are at those D1 Power 5 schools, or even if it's not Power 5, they're just at the top 10 ranked D1 schools, and they have the following. And sometimes it is because either they started their social media platform early, or they simply just go to a really popular school and they happen to be a star player, but naturally they're preparing for the draft, or they want to prepare for the draft. So talk about that crossover from representing them on the NIL side, and then when it's time to really, declare for the draft, combine preparation, what's that process like for you guys?
So that's really where our team comes in, because right now with the NIL shop, Rakeem is the president of the NIL shop, of NIL. So all of the communication with our athletes, I myself, because I work more on the marketing and business operations, I service both businesses. However,
you service both the pro and college talent.
Exactly.
Okay.
But my communication is based off of the agreement. I'm only brought in to speak to the athlete about what the benefit is with branding or services. Outside of that, because you got to think about it, right? We make sure every day that there is a fine line between professional and collegiate, because that is very important for our business. We want our athletes to understand that there is a time where R3V will reach out to you about professional opportunities, and we're upfront with our parents and athletes. This specifically is for your name, image, and likeness. We will never reach out to you about any professional combine skills or anything about that side, because we want to make sure that our focus is building your brand, and that has been huge because that's the number one question. You guys are an agency. You're doing NIL. What make it make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's the benefit?
What's the benefit?
Yeah.
Right. And when you really break it all back, it goes to the benefit is the athlete, right? And what we feel as though if we have an athlete that is prosperous on our NIL shop, is growing his brand, is growing with our company, with the NIL shop, he understands that there is a bigger machine that can be behind him if he wants that service, right? And as soon as an athlete will say they want that service, then there is a team member that will reach out to him and start that process. And that's where our scouting team, that's where our other team members come into play. So from this level, an athlete really doesn't talk to our full team. It's no need to talk to certain people in the R3 business because they are strictly on the agency side.
Right.
That's clean though.
Kind of overwhelming.
Separation of church and state too. And then you're right, the kid can get confused. Yeah, like I don't know what's happening.
I might like this person better than because you're one of a good I was thinking I'm like and I thought about you as a person, and you were saying like how like you're only going in to basically seal the deal. like the benefit of, you know, letting you or arguably brand this child.
Exactly. I mean, I'm.
So it's like a big,
Yeah.
kind of like a big, even though like Keem and Jack, you know, they talk to them as well, and the other team members do, but you're that person that the parent wants to talk to.
Especially when we're
I
talking
would
about
say-
NIL though.
I would say yes, but no. So I would say, and like I said, shout out to Rakeem. Rakeem is, you know, I can't say now. I talk to him almost every day.
That's the VP of NIL.
Correct.
Okay.
He is the guy.
So I was gonna say, I was like, y'all must have
He's the
somebody.
closer.
He is.
So he's on the ground.
Exactly. He is the guy. I mean, he is the guy that has relationships, has built relationships, all of our team. But when I say the passion, I mean, he gets me excited, and I'm already excited about the things that we're doing. But I really, you know, I just want to give him his flowers because I'm
That's
on this
the pulse.
platform. He is. He's the beat, you know, of you know, the beat and pulse of R3V. And then when you talk about Jeff, I mean, Jeff's the mastermind.
Right,
I mean,
right.
he's the guy who really day in and day out is putting in place the things that is needed to make this company grow the way that it needs to. You know, like I said, I'm just a piece. You know, I'm a
Creative piece.
I would say that. I would say myself, I'm definitely a creative mind, and I bring a different view that has allowed us to get into different spaces that I think that we wouldn't have gotten into if we just didn't have the conversations. So that's the real thing. I'm brought on to educate. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you know, we all three of us in our team understands the terminologies and legal aspect of when you talk about agency, and we're growing to understand NIL because it's so new.
And everybody is, you know, like in the industry. So at the same time, you guys are still being very proactive, in my opinion, you know, when it comes to NIL. Because just the NIL shop alone, you know, I feel even with that, when people see that, like, wow, that's very innovative. But it's also things that professional athletes have been doing it for years, right? But just a quick comparison when it comes to the WNBA, right? A huge conversation about athletes is that they don't get the marketing, they don't get the visibility, they don't get that, right? So now, over the last few years, athletes have taken it upon themselves to leverage their name, image, and likeness, leverage all of the followers they had in college, you know, March Madness, where their draft stock just kind of went up, but also their popularity. And so they've used, not necessarily the NIL shop because they're already pro athletes, but they've dropped merch lines, or they've started, you know, being influencers for certain brands, being ambassadors, or having partnerships with people like Crop or Adidas, things of that nature. And so I think you guys are being very proactive in just giving players a head start.
Exactly. That you couldn't have said it any better. It's giving you a platform to be ahead of the game when you are when you have the opportunity to get in that room. You just said it, a seat at the table, right? It's a difference if you are a great, say you're the number one, you know, female basketball player, or lacrosse, or any sport, right? Say softball. You're the number one softball player coming out of your university. The biggest thing there is wherever your next chapter is, if you're already prepared for that chapter, you're going into the room with, because when you get to the professional level, who's the first people you meet? You meet high individuals that are either in the league or league owners. And those conversations are not going to just be about what you do on the basketball court.
Right. Just knowing how to articulate who you are, what you represent, what your goals are.
I've worked with 25 brands before I even stepped in this room.
That is going to turn heads.
That makes you not only more valuable on the court, but it makes you valuable for that organization. And that's what our athletes need to understand. It's like, stay on it. Stay on TikTok. Stay on Instagram. Stay on these things. Stay on these platforms that because my thing is stay on these platforms for business, right? Use these just like we were when we were athletes in high school or college. I don't like saying like use, but take advantage of those platforms. Take advantage of whatever platform you are, because that platform is taking advantage of you.
Yeah, and a former NFL player now is like a TikTok consultant, and we had a conversation with him on Clubhouse about just how athletes need to start leveraging it to, I don't know, build their brand, but also to generate income for themselves.
Exactly, and to that point, I think that the disconnect is I have that following, but how do I monetize
Right.
that? And that's where a third party comes in. That is the job. That V comes in. Yes.
So to stay on that, as far as monetize, you guys have an athlete, and say for instance, I know right now you guys are, you said you just signed your first D1.
Yeah, for what?
For football.
So we signed. So right now, I believe our athlete stat, we have about 11 athletes, and John Morgan is the first athlete of representation.
Got you. Okay.
And the other athletes are on our NIL shop.
Yeah.
We are right now heavily focused on all sports, but right now, obviously basketball. So women's and men's college basketball. We have definitely some great athletes.
Now this is in the NIL shop?
This is in the NIL shop,
okay.
Right? So like I said, this is where a college athlete, if they're playing on Tuesday night, this is the thing I love about it. While I'm playing on Tuesday night, my jersey is getting sold. You know, so what the importance is, and that's why I said we're actively, because football is a lot different. You know, basketball, we were, you know, it's 10 guys on the court. You know, 5 starters on each side, right? You don't have a helmet on. You don't have all these things. Like you're a face. So basketball is just a different type of marketing. You know, and we don't look at every sport the same. You know, we market based off of not only the sport but the athlete too. So.
Well, Nichele, you could tap into it, because I'm guessing, but correct me if I'm wrong, you're about to get into, from a football perspective, like how they monetize.
Oh yeah. So as far as my monetization, since you're in marketing, you catch that star athlete per se, like, I mean, it's something in the water, so the area you're going to find that star.
I mean, this is the best area for any type of sports.
Exactly. So you find that star athlete in college or football per se, and they have like a moment, like a specific moment. I'm trying to think like of a specific moment, so I give you an idea. But like Zion, for example, remember he had those moments in high school or at Duke where it's like signature actual plays or like
ESPN
words.
highlight moments.
So this is new thing with NFTs.
Exactly. Oh, we can get into that too.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know the tech guy, you know, like
I was gonna sprinkle that NFT.
So I was like,
Jeff will be happy that
I was like, I don't want to put you on the bus. I'm not there yet. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure he knows about it. So I'm like, from the R3 business side and your point of view, like, how does a player monetize on something like that?
Yeah, so it's funny that you said that. So what we do marketing.
Whoa, but you gotta let the people know what the NFT is.
Yeah. Okay. So what the NFT is basically, it's almost I want to say it correctly, because it's almost like a digital card with the ability for that individual to sell it, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of times like Bitcoin or a lot of like digital currency. So what we've done is we've already sprinkled, if you go to our Instagram, we've sprinkled some NFTs out there to show our users or families of athletes these are things that once we create this, this athlete can take that and he could use that and make money.
Like you've gifted it to some of your clients?
I wouldn't even say it's gifted. We've created it and put it out there. Obviously not for sale, but that athlete has the opportunity to grab that and basically profit off of that. So
it's so easy.
It's so easy. I mean, with that with the NFT, we actually already have a 2 to 3 year plan. So that is going to be rolled out. I'm very excited that our agency website will be launching either this week or next week. I don't know a specific date, but we're super excited about that because the NFTs will be a whole business model for our youth division. So we will have at R3V a youth division where, if you think about it, when we were growing up, what did you have? You had those playing cards. You had those cards that you would get, and you take that picture, and you would give to parents or different things of that nature. And we see an opportunity where, wow, this is where a kid that's 8, 9 years old, he could be the number one, running back. In the Maryland or East region, and now he just made a crazy play.
Man, I should have kept some of my shoulder cards.
There's that NFT
especially
of that
records,
moment.
when records are broken. All you gotta do is get a picture, NFT.
Exactly. So, so in the sports space, definitely NFT is a huge part of our business in the future, in the near future.
Okay.
But definitely in the future.
Okay, but before we transition, I got a follow up. So, not specific to NFTs, but how do you think, digital currency and just new ways of earning, right, as a whole, how do you think that's going to benefit not just Black owned businesses in the sports industry, but our economy as a whole, like in our community, when it comes to Black dollars circulating, with athletes to coaches to scouts to vendors and things of that nature, and really trying to feed our community but still put us on a platform that's competitive with the clutch sports of the world, but also still in the same conversations as Octagon. You know what I mean?
I think the biggest thing is, right, giving our youth the opportunity to profit in a controlled and correct setting will funnel that Black dollar correctly, because that to me is where the disconnect is. A lot of the money is coming from I would say the adult. A lot of the money flow is coming from the adult. Not saying that young man
starting with AAU.
Exactly. So it's really where it's kind of like, okay, if we have agencies, if we have these businesses that start to just work together, because these athletes, they could be sponsoring, a restaurant. They could be sponsoring, the you don't have to be, like I said, we always say like number one, but a player, local, women's basketball player, women's sports has a great opportunity to monetize. There's so many Black owned businesses. There's so many businesses where I feel like women use more products sometimes than men when it comes to that space.
NBA just marketed eyeshadow. The NBA just got an eyeshadow endorsement deal. I just want you to know, and we're not going to get into it, but WNBA Twitter had a field day with that. No, seriously. Your entire community, even your actual players, literally wear lashes on the court. Not everybody, but a good percentage of ranked, active WNBA athletes wear makeup on the court now, right?
Yeah.
Not when I didn't wear makeup when I was playing. My lashes would fell off. But right now, you got lashes, you got wigs, you got makeup, and even if you don't have a wig on, they just always have their hair done. I mean, I don't understand that one. But I'm gonna just leave it right there. That was a very huge and missed opportunity for the WNBA to monetize on something as simple as a beauty product.
Definitely.
Let's get into the fun part. So we're wrapping up,
Okay.
but I gotta ask you, you talked about a lot of do's, you dropped a lot of gems. Now we gotta talk about some don'ts. Okay. So for the players out there that are not signed, that are still looking for representation in the NIL space, but also even on the professional side.
Exactly.
Tell us how not to get signed. Okay, what are some of the things that prospects have done that just turns you off as an agent, or just from the agency perspective, like that's not the way that you're supposed to approach us?
You mean like athletes approaching our company, or
Yeah.
just in general?
In general. But if you have company-specific examples, you can drop those too.
Yeah, I ain't putting no,
You
no
don't
tea
have to
out,
drop
but-
names, you know what I'm saying?
but I guess what I would say on the athlete's perspective, right, is rushing into representation. I think that's the biggest thing that's a red flag for me, because you are diluting your name, image, and likeness, right? So if I jump at the first deal, and that deal is, let's just throw out a number, $500. Is my name, image, and likeness worth $500?
That's great.
No. But to your university, because they see that number come in, to your viewers, because you put that in, and I'm not downplaying that, because $500 when I was in school is $1 million.
Yeah, that was my little paycheck when I was a student employee.
Exactly. So, but the main point I'm saying is no reason to settle
Right.
if your brand isn't ready to take that next step.
But then does that become your price point too? Like you're coming in and say they're looking for an NIL representation, and you take a look, as representation, you take a look at that player's portfolio, and you see, a couple deals where they just get free merch, and then you see this $500 deal. From your perspective, now does it seem like, oh well, their price point is only $500? That's not really in our lane. We're looking for more, high level 5-6 figure deals.
Well, I would say that right now we're not at the place to say that we're not going to take an athlete, because I'm just not even that type of person. But I would say that for us, it has to make sense on the point that you're saying, because we will just, again, educate that athlete why representation is not the best for you at this moment, right? So if you are making $500 from a deal that you did, I think it's beneficial that you come over to the NIL shop where you can make $500 a week.
And we can grow that for you.
And we can grow that for you to then after a whole quarter of you showing these numbers, I can go to your local store, I can go to your local restaurant and say,
this is the real number.
This is his real number.
Yeah.
And then so another dump, social media. We talked about how we can use TikTok, Instagram, Twitter to our advantage as student athletes. But what are some don'ts, some big no-nos when it comes to student athletes,
Yeah, I think this is important.
prospects, looking for representation in their social media?
I think the biggest thing that you see and you saw when the NIL announced was social cleanup. That's what I called it. Like you saw a lot of athletes.
Purge your page.
You had about 3 posts. You had about 200 posts, and then the next day you had 3, right? And that's a good thing. That's not a don't. But what the athletes that didn't do that is the don't. You have to look at name, image, and likeness is your name.
Now, is it the amount of posts or is it certain content?
I would say it's content, because the content needs to show who you are, right? We don't give an athlete a list of this is what you need to post, this is what you have to do. No, your post outside of, if you sign with NIL or representation, any of those marketing posts, that's what you're supposed to post, right? Because those are HD photos, those are content grabbing. Anything else, we're showing you where to post that at. right? So if you don't have an HD photo, that might go to a reel, or that might go to your story. That might not be for your actual Instagram.
Web page, I would say. Basically,
Your social web page. Because if you go to those athletes that have the blue checks, that have hundreds of thousands of followers, look at their content. If they're doing a video, it's a video either off of YouTube. It's a high quality video,
right?
And that is a huge, what I would say, especially being in my seat, that I talk to athletes, is let's talk about how you're going to clean up what you've already created. Because I don't look at it as a bad thing. I'm just saying, hey, how can we turn this into, okay, if you got a friend, right, maybe not just take a picture, maybe use portrait. I don't know, but let's figure it out
how to make it look better.
Exactly.
Of higher quality.
Exactly. Like whatever food you like, sit down and take a picture of it. Tag.
Just make sure the lighting is good.
Make sure the lighting is good, but tag.
Yeah.
If you go to Popeyes, tag Popeyes.
Popeyes might hit you up too.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's your make your post of your regular day interaction make sense. Because if you're an athlete, that is what you're trying to do. You're trying to show. So if you tag Popeyes and that post, say that post got 2,000 likes, 300, comments, I'm just throwing out numbers, or engagement, somebody's gonna see that. They're gonna see like,
it's gonna pop up.
Why does keep paying? It's gonna pop up. And imagine if you continue to laser focus on the brand. You know how that can turn out. So
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we can do the rules to the game last, but first we gotta hit fourth quarter real quick with Devon.
Okay.
He always has some intense this or that. What would you do if?
Let's do it. I ain't start sweating yet because the air is really good in here. So I think it's a hard question.
Yeah, it can be related to either a current event or just your life in general, since you guys are related. I don't know where he's coming with, but
I'll get you on the house. Okay.
Well,
relax.
Okay.
On you, bro.
Okay.
And I'm gonna stick to your strong suit.
Okay.
This question.
Okay.
But it's gonna be pretty difficult because I want to see where your business mind is at on this.
Let's do it.
All right. So the question is, if you had the opportunity to sign these are former players that played in college, but they're pros now. Some of them retired. If you had the opportunity to sign a star athlete, and he was at the college level, and you wanted to basically start the brand, like Parker B has the opportunity to sign this person, and they're going to say yes regardless. You just have to pick the one, and you have 4 choices.
Okay, here we go. I like that. At least you gave me choices. So
I got options.
Okay, I got options. Okay.
And look, so you can't base it off their pro career.
The college career.
You can't. You have to base off the college career, their personality. So like as you're in the seat of signing this person, you have to do it based off
who's
like that 360 scope.
And you can't be like, well, I'm gonna do this person and that.
No, I got you.
You have Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
Reggie Bush. Tim Tebow.
Okay.
And Cam Newton. It's light, but
that's a variety.
on the business side, I just want to see where you go.
That's
so one, he gave me, as you guys heard, that was 2, 2 black athletes, and So for me, number 1, I think where I'm gonna go, and we're talking about me in the agency, right?
Yep, you are deciding. You have the golden ticket. It's who you gonna give it to.
This is gonna launch the agency.
Yo, who are you gonna give it to and why?
Okay. I honestly think, and not with like pro career or anything like that.
Pro.
And we're talking about it's tough. So let me just say this one thing, right? Can I say why I didn't pick an athlete, or why I'm going away? All right, because we're saying college, right?
Yeah, you so name by name.
So the way I'm gonna think about this is I'm business. Reggie Bush, right? At that time, Are we talking about if I would have signed him and he would have had NIL, or his situation?
Oh, so you're signing them in the stance of today they're playing at the level they're playing at.
Okay.
College.
Okay.
With the new
So yes, so they would have had the NIL benefit if you signed them.
Yeah. So one, I'm gonna say for me, I just said that my company is about building black representation in sports.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna take 2 athletes out.
Gotcha.
Automatically.
It takes a lot of money out.
And I'm gonna stick with my gun with that. And outside of the 2, when we're talking about Cam or Reggie Bush, I want to say I'm gonna look at moment, right? And based off of athlete, I feel like the biggest moment I would remember is Cam when they won the national championship. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because we're now talking about NFT.
Yep.
So that's a lane that we're going to capitalize on. When you're talking about personality, Cam has personality.
He got the sauce.
He has the brand, right? So when he was in college, he already, scoring. Like I'm talking about, he already really kind of had, that. And a big thing for me that took out of everybody else, and even put Tim Tebow, because Tim Tebow would probably, for me, in his college career, just seeing how everything goes, I would say that, right? But when I go back to black representation in sports, and both of them played they both played in the SEC.
Yeah.
Right? That's number one why I would, like I said, USC is great, but that following and SEC football is another reason business-wise why now we had Reggie's out, right? So now we had 3, right? I would say, because you said Johnny Manziel, right?
Johnny Manziel, okay.
So he was in a market where, sporadic. He was doing great things, plays, but I still feel as though that Auburn and Florida fan base, right, is going to drive the NIL shop. I feel like all of these athletes are stars, so they'll drive, that space. But like I said, when I go back to Cam, we're talking about him winning the national championship, NFT, right? The moment. We're talking about right now that black business and just being, in that space of culture.
The it factor.
It factor is big right now, right? So we're talking about things that you might see all the time. Cam was something that you didn't see. You didn't know, because it was like, my goodness, he's doing this on the field, he's doing that.
He started a whole wave.
For sure.
What you mean?
Getting in the end zone,
exactly. And as soon as he would have did this, I would have called DC Comics like, hey, listen, what we talking about? Exactly. What we talking about?
Right.
Exactly. But that's a great question. I tried to tap dance, but then I had to
lock in on one.
So I'm gonna say Cam. And shout out to Cam, because he got his YouTube channel. I watch that all the time.
I like his podcast.
His pod, yeah. So
he done had some dope people too. You gotta check that out.
Yeah.
The last podcast I seen him on was I Am Mad.
No. This is his own.
I know. I was saying the last time I seen him.
Yeah.
Talk.
So.
Yeah.
And obviously me, being a family guy, him being a family guy. I like the content that he's putting out right now. So definitely check that out. But yeah, Cam Newton. If y'all,
I wasn't sure. I was like, he's gonna go with Reggie, Tim Tebow. I didn't know if he was gonna go here.
When he said the names, this is like every time you said it was like the person got better. It was like Manziel. I was like, all right, dang.
He probably did that on purpose.
Because I was like, who else he gonna say? I was like, yes.
That's the top 5.
I was like, Reggie Bush. I'm like, 100%. Because Reggie Bush is like what he was doing on the field. You know what I'm saying? So, but then we talking about everything
that
else.
Full package. Cam got that full package.
Because off the field and in that market, you got to think about the market that we're talking about. We talking about SEC. That's who they playing every week.
Yeah. And like you said, Cam sells himself. Like, just being Cam.
He just
got
that.
You know who I was going to substitute instead of Reggie Bush because I wanted to keep it as far as like quarterbacks. I was going to sub in Winston. James had a time.
He did.
Like I didn't want his mess ups, and I'm gonna say this big mess ups. He was a kid, you know what I'm saying? The whole crack leg thing, like. But I just didn't want to do him anything because I'm like, oh, then it's kind of like he has that mess up. So
those were strong for.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna put that on my.
Monty always come through with the fourth quarter question. Man.
I think that fourth quarter question will go in my story.
Hot seat. I put you in the hot seat. I'm gonna send you that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
Put that on. I want
to see what you're gonna say. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yep, I'm gonna do that when we get off.
All right. So real quick, everybody gets this question. Okay.
All right.
The podcast is called Rules to the Game. Show, right? Everybody has a different perspective. After going through life as either an athlete or pursuing a career in sports, right? We're centered around Black professionals in this industry, young Black professionals in this industry. So we talk a lot about this. So when we're giving game, it's also an audience of aspiring agents, aspiring marketing professionals or athletes.
Definitely.
Right. So what would be you can give one or two. Right, but try to keep it to like one or two. Your rules to the game in pursuing a career in sports marketing, and it can be as an agent or just in general when it comes to the space that you're in.
The first thing I'm gonna say, in just whatever you want to do is consistency. That's the first gem I can say. That's something that that word has made legends because that builds habits, that builds success, that builds leaders. It's consistency. Whatever you want to do, you're gonna fail, but you're failing because you're being consistent. You're not being consistent at failing. You're being consistent. So you're trying so hard and you're doing that every day, you're going to fail because you're trying to be better than you was the day before. And then the next gem I would say, and this is for the youth, is really be they use the word squeaky, but it's kind of like just be in the moment, ask questions, be a fly on the wall, learn as much as you can, because by learning, you're gonna see what you don't want to do. But by always, trying to kind of shift here, shift there based off of moments or whatever, that's one, not gonna keep you on that consistent track. And two, you're not gonna learn and get the knowledge that you need to be ready when it's your time.
Self-mastery.
Because people say Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to start something and the next minute it's going to be your master of it or you're going to be successful.
Right.
We all know that being in this room. You got to take 10,000 shots sometimes to make one. So you gotta shoot. Shoot. That's what I'm saying. So that's the game. That's definitely man. So that's the game. That's PJ's game, and I like I said, I appreciate the opportunity that you guys gave me, and I just hope one person can take something from this conversation and definitely benefit off of it. So.
Absolutely. Well, that's PJ's rules to the game. I like that. I think I'm gonna drop this one on YouTube because it was so good. So I'll send you the link and everything for that.
Perfect.
And I'll send you that clip. Your top 4 fourth quarter question.
Yeah,
man.
He needs that. I think I sweated a little bit.
He needs that. He said he wasn't gonna put you in the hot seat.
That was good. That was good, man. That was good.
Yeah. So once again, it's Rules to the Game. You can catch this episode dropping soon. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and then you can also catch the video on YouTube. I'm gonna drop that soon too. Don't hold your breath, but the audio is gonna drop next week. Let them know where they can follow you, PJ.
Yeah, so they can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Miller. That's Mr. with 2 I's. And then also just really follow our NIL shop at the NILshop.com. I mean, yeah, at the NILshop.com and at the NIL shop. So,